Fantastic to have you here, Rob. Thank you so much for making time today to celebrate with me the fact that you were the People's Choice Award winner earlier in the year. So tell everybody who's watching this, what is Apollo Medica?
Hi, Stu. Great to see you again. And yeah, thanks for the invite. Happy to be here. With Apollo, my current startup that's been in development for about nearly a year now, we are building an AI-powered platform that includes wearables, and we are trying to help 1 billion people to become pain-free. So that's our mission statement, and this is what we are building towards to.
So how do you do this, Rob? How do you help 1 billion people? What is it? So this is to do with physiotherapy, right?
Yes. So it includes everything with pain management, and we are starting off with musculoskeletal diseases. Say you had a knee surgery, you have chronic back pain, you have problems that impede your motion. So this is basically all that goes into this. So everything in terms of rehabilitation, that includes orthopedics and motion. So this is where we can help. And also in terms of chronic diseases, where somebody was neglecting for years or decades their health in terms of using their limbs, joints, and body parts like that. So we can basically use the power of the AI, where we digitize your motion. Then the AI will be able to help you not just with your current problem, but in future we would like to have this as a preventative method as well. So early detection and diagnosis.
Amazing. And I know it was a really good demo that we did there at Ground Capital, and you know, it's a very interactive one with yours, right? Because you've got sensors, you've got people movement, you've got all sorts of things. But as I remember, Rob, you know, this is not your first rodeo, right? You've had a few other startups before. Can you know, there was Parkio was one of them. What else have you done?
Yeah, so my very first startup was when I was in Dublin Business School. I started with IT, but then I changed over to finance because I really liked my economics teacher. But then after finishing school, during college, I had kind of a part-time job internship, kind of a thing in finance, and I learned that I don't really want to do that. And I just spotted something that I knew from Central Europe was these mini pastries. And at the time, this is back in 2012, the bread and pastry selection in Ireland was not great at all.
Was soda bread, was it? Soda bread or soda bread? Or bread with soda?
Yeah. So exactly. And this is why I thought, okay, there is something missing here. And this will go like hotcakes. So I was able to get a contract with one of the major manufacturers. It was a Hungarian company. And in those times, they were the second largest franchise called Fornetti. They were the second largest franchise after Subway worldwide. I didn't know that. I was shocked too, but they were mostly famous in Central and Eastern Europe. And I know they were in some other countries in the West, but they were not branded. But long story short, I started importing these. So my very first business while I was in college was a wholesale distribution company. I was importing frozen, which had lots of issues with logistics that I had to figure out, then also store it. And with very little money, to set up a distribution in Dublin, in the capital, and later on in the whole country. And also 2-3 years after starting, we were able to get also to the UK, is where we exported into Wales and the UK. And I say we because obviously I also had a business partner. My first time business partner was a French colleague from the part-time job that I had,
Okay.
who later stepped down. And then one of my college buddies, an Irish lad. So he joined the business, and yeah, from then on we just kept building and building. So it was quite a difficult time because we didn't pay ourselves, and later on we always paid ourselves the minimum wage. We reinvested all the money into the business. We were able to get our accountant as our investor. So he was our first investment, with 10K. That was able to pay for more stock to come in from Europe and to basically sell that at profit. And that's how we were building. So from 2012 until 2017 was the first time when we hit 1 million in revenue. Was 1.3. And when I sold the business in 2018, we were at 1.7, 1.8.
That's incredible.
So it was a lot of hard work, and a lot of delaying the gratitude. So there was nothing fancy about it. Although we thought that in year 2 we nearly scored a contract with Tesco's, and we thought that we will be millionaires because Tesco's was the second largest retailer after Walmart. So we were like, wow, once we are in Tesco Ireland, we'll be in Tesco UK, then Tesco rest of Europe. But it wasn't as easy, and it was actually very, very hard, and a lot got into certifying because they had to. The factories that were producing were not ours, but they were based in Germany, and so we had to go with a third party that they assigned to us to basically check on the manufacturing plants, how safe they are, how well they do the production, and so was a lot of logistics involved. But it was really, really cool. Also, out of wholesale, we got into retail, where the retail units, the first one became not Europe's first Bitcoin bakery, actually. But we labeled it as just Ireland's first Bitcoin bakery. And I'm a nerd. I'm not really into food. I would burn tea. So now not anymore. After COVID, I got a lot better. But
you got some practice time in
there. So that was and so I'm not really into food, and I never thought of myself as doing wholesale distribution or any of that. But just came about, started doing well. So we were like, all right, let's keep going. And so we had such a huge selection of breads that were coming from Germany. So we decided to open a bakery in Dublin city center. And one day, the director for fraud for the Irish Central Bank, Peter Oakes, he is from Australia, and he was the director for fraud for the Irish Central Bank. And it was a very rainy day, so he was looking for cover, and he started chatting to us. We were in the bakery at the time, and I'm a nerd, so that's why I said I'm not really into food or any of that. I'm a big nerd, and at the time Bitcoin was just starting up, so I started talking about Bitcoin, and he's like, "Oh, I'm very interested in this too." I'm like, "I was going to launch this here as a payment platform," and he's like, "Rob, if you do that, I'll come back here and I'll be your first customer, and I'll bring a journalist too." So I was like, "All right, Peter, we're still friends till today." So a week later, he probably thought I was BSing, but a week later, I messaged him, and I'm like, "Peter, the Bitcoin checkout is set up. You can come." He's like, "Oh, all right," and he really came. So we got our first
journalist.
Yes, was in the news. 2014 was Europe's first Bitcoin bakery, and we made our first sale with the director of the Irish Central Bank for fraud. So it was really funny because central bankers in those times, even now, they are really against this. So against cryptos. So that was fairly cool, and that's when I learned the power of marketing and how to use PR basically to your advantage, because one news covered it, the Irish Times, and then all the other news copied what the Irish Times wrote. So I learned about distribution, how the news work, and this was pretty interesting. So next year we expanded into a much larger unit, and there I was already working on what is cool. So I just researched what is all the tech that is out there, and I crammed it into our place. And now if you Google the world's first smart bakery and cafe, that's Cross Bakery in Dublin. So I was like, amazing. There will be a world's first. Starbucks can't copy this anymore, can't take the title. This title will be with us forever. So, and it got write-ups in the UK. I got interviews with bakery magazines in the UK. In the US, we got write-ups in Germany. So this really reinforced my view that, okay, you can actually really use media towards to your advantage. But obviously, whoever is listening or will see this video, you gotta provide value. You can't just send the journalists something that you think it's cool. It actually gotta be cool, like something that's world's first, or it has to be interesting in many ways that hasn't been written about. Then your chances are very high that you get featured. And once you're featured, others copy it, and you have the distribution.
Amazing. And I guess after that was probably about the time that you and I met in Lisbon, right? So you were doing Parkio and a couple of other things in Lisbon. And you've obviously done this. I think you did another bakery as well at some point, didn't you, in Lisbon?
Yes. So I exited the bakery because I was a nerd, like I mentioned. And I joined a company of a friend who were kind of failing in those days, which was Parkio. Was not really called Parkio in those days as well. They were just starting up, and I basically took over and revamped the whole team. And that's why I basically became the de facto founder of the business. And we raised investment in Lisbon. So this is why I then relocated the head office from Dublin to Lisbon. And in Lisbon, we became the first Airbnb for parking spaces in 2018. And 2019, we became Portugal's first EV charging app. So we added EV charging to the application, which was pretty cool because Lisbon in those days was really heavily investing into EVs. Unlike many other cities in Europe, that was quite surprising and was very cool to see, and basically gave us a fresh wind into the business, because the parking business, to be honest, I didn't really like, was pretty boring. But the EV charging and electric cars, is super interesting, even in those days and even in today's world, today's days. So, and then come COVID, we got shut down from one day to another, because if people are not driving, we are in a lockdown. People are not driving, then they are not parking, and they're also not charging, and our revenue was coming from that. And so we had to let a lot of people go. And I'm really sorry. Maybe I should close the window here, because I'm not sure if you hear the noise. We are talking about parking and driving, so I guess all the cars decided to.
It's all good. It's bringing me back to my Bangalore days. You normally get some great traffic noises in the background when you're in India, and it is actually
class. That's funny.
So, and you've obviously done a couple of demo nights during this time as well, which is I think how we originally met. And I know I think we interacted on a BGI accelerator program as well at some point as well, when you were taking one of your ideas through there. What else did you do between this and Apollo? Was there one more thing or two more things?
Yeah, there was two more things. So during the lockdowns, we had to let like half the team go, and we also had to pivot with our company, so from B to C and B to B. we became B2G. So we were giving the platform to municipalities to manage their parking spaces. And but yeah, in those days was not as busy. So there was a problem in Lisbon that restaurants were experiencing. And it was not just Lisbon, but most cities in Europe, because restaurants were only able to survive through deliveries or takeaways. So you were not, they were not making any money besides delivery. And Uber and Bolt or Glovo, the equivalent of Uber Eats, they were charging the restaurants a lot of money. So when you ordered a meal for $20, the restaurant would only see $10 from that, because after they pay the tax and pay Uber, they get €10 out of 20, which is half of your money is gone. And you still have to pay rent. You still have to pay the same staff. Everything's the same for you, minus your clients. So we developed a platform with a friend of mine that was called eStart4 and Deliver LX, LX in Portuguese. So that's short of Lisbon in the language. And yeah, we basically start working with the local government, the district. They became our distribution platform because they had a list of businesses in every district. And they really liked our idea, because instead of charging restaurants half of their revenue, we would charge them a subscription fee. And we actually gave the restaurants no charge during the lockdowns. And after the lockdowns eased, they only paid a subscription fee. So they paid €39 in those days per month to use our platform. So in those times, if you were a restaurant and you made 10K in a month, then 5 of that you would pay to Uber or Glovo or Bolt. And with our solution, €39. So it was super amazing for restaurants. We were able to basically sustain the business. We didn't really make much profit, but was basically an idea that we knew that, all right, during the lockdowns, we onboard a lot of restaurants and we make the money later. So the main point was to break even for us first. And we were able to do just that. And after the lockdowns, some of them left the restaurants, but most of them stayed. And yeah, we started getting profitable. But during those times, I also got a message from a friend who sent me this business. Was another kind of a bakery. It was in the hospitality. Was a waffle in the shape of a penis. So it was a dick waffle with a sausage inside in Bangkok, in Thailand. And I was like, was hugely popular. There was a huge line of people there. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I'm like, your marketing is sorted, because
It's
people
Instagram
are, yeah, exactly. And I was like, all right, I'll just open one here in Lisbon. I haven't done this in a while because I was with Parkio and then eStart. And I'm like, I'll just do this as a side project and just for fun. And it was after the second lockdown in 2021. So I found a site that was still available in Lisbon during the summer. And yeah, within 2 weeks, I was able to open. Was a very cheap setup. I just threw lots of things inside and opened the business. But I didn't open it as a hot dick, basically a hot dog with a sausage inside, but came as a sweet option. It was my girlfriend's idea to change it into sweets. And well, given I used a bit of influencer marketing and basically some of the learnings that I had from before in terms of marketing and PR, and it exploded. So after week one, there were 2-hour queues every single day. It was not just the opening day, or not for a day or 2 days or a week. It was literally 6 months from summer until even after Christmas of 2021. And after New Year's, we still had lines of people waiting outside. It was
Incredible.
that insane. Yeah, was mad. We got invited into the Portuguese TV, a lot of write-ups. There were journalists coming from Brazil to write about us, and yeah, which was fairly cool. And that actually, my girlfriend's Brazilian, and so that made me wanna go and open in Brazil because we got so many messages on Instagram. On TikTok, we got 10 million views, and Portugal has 10 million people. We got 10 million views within 2.5 months on TikTok. So was that crazy. And well, try to open I opened in Brazil with my girlfriend's help because she still has the passport from Brazil, although she lives in Portugal for many years. And we opened there in the first city in Belo Horizonte, which is a small city, as the Brazilians say. It's only 3.5 million people. Yeah. Less known city, and then also in Rio de Janeiro, in Ipanema. And funnily enough, that's where our problems really started. So the bakery is called La Putaria, which means a lot of different things. None of them's good.
Okay.
And because of the shape of the waffles, so there's a female and a male piece, if I can say so. So what happened was the people who lived above the bakery were retired lawyers and politicians. And we had exactly the same success as in Portugal. So 2 RQs for many months. And the people above the bakery, they didn't like that. They were ultra conservative. And as I later found out, they were really powerful. And they had connections with the government because some of them were retired politicians. And Brazil had an election year in those days. It was Bolsonaro against Lula. And we got politicized. Like these days, when it's elections, most countries, there's a lot of division, a lot of misinformation, and it's becoming like a football match basically when there's elections. And they used our bakery to make themselves look good, as in we are doing something for the country, we are doing something for the people. So they sent us the local association lady to investigate what is our bakery about. So one day, 3 weeks after we opened, somebody shows up in your door and asks, okay, I'm here to write a report. Is it okay if I come in? Of course, we're like, okay, come on in. She took some photos, took some notes, and she's like, I don't really know why I'm here. Are you guys also doing something else than this? And we're like, no, not really. Okay, that was it. She leaves. 2 weeks later, somebody from the municipality comes in, a guy with the same request. We're like, have a look, take photos, whatever. The guy leaves, also couldn't find anything. We're selling sweets, right? So nothing illegal. And nothing happened for another few weeks. And then a letter arrives, but not from anyone, not from anybody. It was from the federal government of Brazil, where they sent us a cease to exist letter. So we basically had, 14 days to close down. So a huge shock. They basically stated some law from 1950, then another law about decency or indecency, that minors, so people under 18, can see our products, although Brazil has sex shops, just like any other country. So we were quite surprised and we were shocked. So we had to hire lawyers. Our lawyer, was actually, because we were all over the news, some lawyers came to us after seeing the news. And our lawyer she worked with Mick Jagger, Madonna, and Michael Jackson, apparently. And she said that she was helping them with lots of cases when I think Mick Jagger got undressed on stage, and they wanted to jail him for that, for indecency, whatever. So yeah, she was taking care of cases like that. So she was offering her help, and if you want to hire her, she can make this go away. But as we learned later, wasn't as easy. So the lawsuits went around between us and the federal government for over a year and a half, and we only learned that they archived our case last year in January, and we didn't learn this from the legal team. We learned this from the news because the current government, Bolsonaro, they lost, and there was a new government in power, but they took some time. And so what we actually got out of the lawsuits was that we were able to operate. We just had to remove the name La Putaria. It's called in Brazil La Censura because of the censorship. People actually really liked it. And obviously, Brazilian people, just like anywhere else, they are common sense. 99% of the people found it ridiculous because they were like, we have so many other problems. We have corruption, crime. Why does anybody care about who buys a dick waffle or a pussy waffle, right? Makes zero sense. So this was basically the notion. So the government basically made themselves look ridiculous, but it was still bad for us because the buzz was so high. We got 400 applications for the franchise. So we were going to be all over the country, all over Brazil. But then, yeah, the government put a stop on us, and the lawsuit was super long. Was very long. We had to remove the signs. We had to cover everything. We were more regulated than a sex shop because they had sex shops where you were able to see a mannequin outside with the S&M stuff wearing it, and yeah, lots of these type of things. So made literally zero sense what was going on. So was an interesting experience because it was my first time in Brazil, and I become the enemy of the state, of the regime at the time, which was really crazy. Even Yahoo News wrote about it, that Brazil got bothered about erotic pastries, was in Australia, was literally super ridiculous. But just like Trump says, there's no such a thing as bad news, right? So in the beginning, it actually worked for us because a lot of people, they thought that we were going to close down based on the news. So our queues grew even longer. So the government basically did the marketing for us. Was bad for our franchising business, but for the existing units that we had, it was actually good because sales increased, and people just wanted to try before we disappear. So yeah, the queues were really massive. Some days where I have videos of that because not even myself could believe it, because it was a lot bigger than the Portuguese launch. It was like a rock concert. When you go to a concert, there was a snake that was going around, because people just filled up the whole road and the street. Was
Crazy.
really cool. Yeah, it was a really cool experience.
And I have to say, I'm really wondering what StreamYard's transcript editor is going to do with this. I wonder what's going to come out of that later. But I mean, I guess I would summarize that you are most definitely a serial entrepreneur, right? And maybe this is part of how you won the People's Choice Award, right? Because you're definitely a storyteller. Would you say that's your kind of superpower when you get up there on stage, that you're a good storyteller? Or, is there something else that really carries it off?
Yeah, actually, in my view, I'm not really a great storyteller, but yeah, I appreciate the feedback that you see me that way. I would say my superpower is to create viral and disruptive brands that kind of spark conversation. And whether it's in tech, okay, it was Smart Bakery Cafe, or this kind of a business. And also with Apollo, I already see certain things that are going to be revolutionary, because once you start doing something, later on you realize, oh wow, there is actually a gap also there or over there, and you can make small pivots towards that to basically make it even better. and make it more revolutionary. And that's not really my to go to for Apollo. That okay, now I gotta create something revolutionary. Of course, it's cool, but to create something that has the most impact, basically. Because now I'm mostly after my crazy years, so I would like to also have and crazy startups. So now I see that okay, I can actually make a dent in other places, and this is why the tagline to help 1 billion people with their pain management to make them pain free. So I want to work towards this and make this my legacy if possible. I might fail, I might not, but main point is I gotta try, because I feel that regret is the worst thing you can have, and many times you can't take it back because we only have one really limited resource, and that is time we never get back. So that's how I see it.
Absolutely. You're speaking to our conversation before the interview today as well. I appreciate that.
Ah.
And so for any first-time founder that's watching this and they've kind of followed your journey and your story, and what's your best advice to anybody who's just either thinking about starting or just started their first one?
If they are thinking about starting, then just don't wait. Definitely don't wait. I had lots of friends who were complaining about their jobs, about their lives, and they don't really change. And even now, when I meet them after a couple of years, they're still complaining, which is sad for them. And I wish they took the plunge, basically. So for the ones who are trying to start, I would say are thinking about starting is launch, adapt, and own the chaos, because yeah, nobody will teach you in school these type of things. I studied finance, and 95% of the things that I learned, because I don't work with it, I already forgot. That's how it is. And most of the things that I learned was through experience, by doing those things and failing. And they always say you should also learn from others, so you don't repeat their mistakes. But I was a bad learner, and I always had to learn from my own mistakes, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
The strongest lessons for sure. Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's been an absolute treat to spend time with you today. Thank you so much for sharing all of that about your story. I think anybody who's watching this, who's on their first or even fourth startup, can gain an awful lot from what you've shared today. Thank you. And I celebrate with you for winning the People's Choice Award and look forward to inviting you back. I think Lisbon in Web Summit Week is where we do our signature crescendo event of the year, and as a People's Choice Award winner, we'll be inviting you to the stage for that one as well. So let's hope everybody can come and see you there. But thank you so much, really appreciate it. Have a good weekend, or bon fin de semana, as I think they say where you are.
Amazing. Thanks for the invite. And I'm really a big fan of Canopy. You do a great job about it. So good luck to you all, to your team, and also have a good weekend. Thanks, Stu.
Thanks, Rob.
See you soon. Ciao.